Hey guys, welcome to another walk in the woods as I stumble over a stump sticking out of the ground.
But he made it.
I made it. It is a bright day today. We've had freezing cold weather and now all of a sudden it's in the 80s. Hello, Texas weather. And I can barely see myself on this camera right now. Oh well, anyway. So today I worked on actually creating an introduction video for the channel, so that was exciting. I went through like 3 different iterations of shooting it because I want to get it just right. So that's probably the only scripted thing I'll ever do on here. And even at that, I tried to do it more like my voicing and how I would do it. So I felt pretty good about it. It's not about perfection here. Nothing's about perfection. It's just about being real, being authentic, being helpful, working through things. Just doing life really. So anyway, as far as what I've been thinking about lately, I've been thinking more about rest actually. And I know it's kind of beating on the same drum, but it's something I'm still having to learn, something I'm still having to figure out. Because it's easy, like for instance, like getting real here, like Brandy and I have had so many problems with our sleep over the last, 10 years, I guess, even before we were together, that we both have just kind of gotten used to being exhausted all the time. And you get to where you just don't really, it doesn't really click, you don't really realize, oh, I'm really tired. Like sometimes, literally like when we're not working, when we're not doing something productive, like maybe we'll play a game of Borderlands or something on the Xbox One, and Borderlands 3 currently, and I'll be like looking at a destination, a place on the map that we need to go to, and I'm like, oh man, that's so far to run. And then all of a sudden it comes to me and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I'm playing a video game. All I gotta do is just move that joystick and wait for like, I don't know, a minute or 2 minutes and we'll be there. But like mentally it's like, oh man, that's so much work. Like, okay, I'm tired. And then of course there's those moments too where there's just sort of an emotional fallout where it's just like, wow, I don't want to do anything. I don't care about anything. Like all motivation is just gone. And it's like, you're not depressed, you're tired, bro. You need to sleep. So I've had to learn, and I'm not necessarily equating sleep and rest to being the same thing. Like they're related, but not the same thing per se. And let me unpack that for a second. Like what I've realized is that you can be restful about even the way you work. You can be restful about how you play. On the other hand, you can actually be unrestful about how you play. You can be unrestful about how you work. You can even be unrestful about how you sleep. So what's the difference? When you're being restful, it's a mindset shift. It's a change. You're not putting yourself under constant pressure and stress. You're getting more into that parasympathetic nervous system. You're relaxing. You're paying attention to breathing. You're watching your rhythms. You're not living in like a state of just anxious, move, drive forward energy. You're paying attention to the rhythms. You're paying attention to how you're being affected. So it's a different energy. It's a different way of doing things. And I can give you an example of unrestful sleep. So one of our problems that we've noticed that we have to handle is that we will get, oh, my AI is going out here. Too much sun, too much light. So we'll get like where we're trying so hard to sleep decently that we just, we're just trying. We're just trying and we're not succeeding. We're not actually sleeping. Our sleep is awful because we're just going from everything that we're doing that day to all of a sudden just trying to hit the bed and pass out. Like, we gotta get up in the morning, we gotta go. And it does not end up being good sleep. It ends up being unrestful. So we've had to learn to chill out, take some time before bed, and we're not doing perfect at it, but we're improving. We're getting better. We're trying to make it to where we actually give ourselves an hour of just down time, just chill time, just create that regimen, what's the word I'm looking for? Ritual. Create the ritual of taking time before we go to sleep and just resting. And yeah, you know, paying attention, mindfulness, what's going on? Am I stressed out in my body? Is my body all tense? What's my mind on right now? You know, not just consciously, but even like unconsciously. What's in the background? What's in the sort of the background music of my mind? When we pay attention to those things and we actually make it a point to be relaxing, we make it a point to unwind, we sleep better. Go figure. So it's kind of like, you know, I guess the mindset, and I'm just trying to find the wording for this. This is something it's like the whole concept of rest is an enigma to me. But I'm trying to understand it. I'm trying to define it for myself. Now, what it means to approach things from a restful point of view, from a restful mode of operation, it's to cut loose from the constant stress. Like, you don't need to be in this state of constant urgency. You don't need to be in this state of just going, hammering, pressuring, forward. You can go at a reasonable pace, and you can, I think it's a lot like what Bruce Lee called moving with dynamic tension. And that's what athletes do. They're not tensing up any area of their body. Anything that they don't need to be using is staying relaxed. And it's a practice. It's not something that you can just do like a flip of a switch. You know, it's not a button press, an easy button. It's something that you make a decision. You know, you make a choice to start working on that and engage into the process. So I'm working on that lately. I'm trying to notice, I mean, for instance, when I walk into a room full of people, I used to have really bad social anxiety, group anxiety, and it was really pretty hard for me. To a large degree, I've worked through that, but I still feel sort of a not quite fight or flight, but there's some adrenaline, there's some cortisol there, there's a little bit of a adrenaline dump where I'm just kind of looking around or tunnel visioning, trying to just focus on one point so I'm not overwhelmed by all the voices and stimuli. And it's something, you know, since I was a kid, I always had an issue of like thinking everybody was looking at me, everybody was judging me, was thinking I looked stupid, thinking I was doing something wrong, like whatever. I'm not really sure where that came from. But I always just kind of had that fear in me that made me very uncomfortable in groups, made me very uncomfortable around strangers and other people. And I've had to work through that and realize, man, they're not thinking about you. They got their mind on their own affairs. They've got their mind on what it is they're dealing with. They're thinking about themselves. They're thinking about what you're thinking about them. They're not really thinking about you. Different things like that, it helps, but you still just have to work through that process of the initial, how it all feels. And that's, again, where rest helps, because when I go into these situations, instead of just letting those feelings take control of me, instead of just like, oh my God, I want to get out of here, and just trying to focus on one single point and like tunnel vision my way out of everything going on all around me, Instead, I force myself to become conscious of the sounds and the things around me, to pay attention to conversations happening here and there, to kind of step outside of my own body for a minute and just kind of live in the moment. And I find that when I do that, a lot of it just kind of dissipates. If I don't feel like I have to be in this state of like just insane urgency and just, I don't know, like in control or whatever, like I don't need to have the complete control of the situation. I can just be there. I guess that's kind of what the rest mindset really is, what doing things restfully really is. It's letting go, and it's letting go of control. Not having to control everything, not having to have everything just where you're comfortable per se. And not feeling like you've got to do a perfect performance all the time with everything. And again, yeah, I know perfection and perfect are loaded words. In reality, it's like my thing is like, well, of course I know I'm not going to be perfect at anything. I'm human. But it's not just that. It's about having standards that are too high. It's about trying to do things that are impossible. It's about expecting yourself to function on a level that you're just not at. You know, you just can't do that. And if you can give yourself grace, if you can slow down and realize, hey, nobody's chasing after you like the hounds from hell. If you're playing, I don't know, a card game with somebody or whatever, if you can let go of the pressure to perform, like I got to prove that I'm competent, I got to prove that I don't suck at this, I don't suck at everything. If you let that go and you sink more into the moment, you can enjoy yourself a lot more, you can do a lot better, and honestly, you have experiences that you actually remember, and they're actually worth remembering. So that's something I'm working on, I'm trying to figure out. It's a work in progress. I'm a work in progress. We're all works in progress. So, hey, I hope that helps somebody. And if you have any questions about this deeper or other things you want to ask, feel free to put it in the comments or DM me, or you can go to my website, which is linked in the description here. Appreciate anything that you want to say, that you want to go after. That's really the whole idea of the platform here, is at Ask Sean Douglas. So bring your questions and let's walk together with them. So anyway, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your presence. My wifey trying to run off without me. Love y'all. Remember, wisdom first, always.